Hey guys! So today you and I are going to talk about emails. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, "Hi Frederick, how would you deal with a situation where when your manager sends a rude emails to you with the entire team copied in the email?" Well, I would say probably the same way I would have reacted regardless of if it's everybody in the email or if it's just me. So what I usually do is that um, I I don't put much emphasis on, well, let's put it like this. I don't really care at the end of the day if my coworkers like me or not. I want to be liked, but not at the expense of all things considered. So, like, I absolutely want people to enjoy their time with me. But if I'm dealing with an individual where they are, for some reason, just not feeling it, like we're not going to get along, I'm pretty fine with that, with one single criteria for that. And that is that they show me professional courtesy in every situation that we find ourselves in. No exceptions whatsoever. Like I like to say to my friends and so forth and family, like if you're going to deceive me, like I believe in honesty and so forth, but for some reason you feel like I should know something or so forth, make damn sure that I can't figure it out. Like that I can't figure out that you have a secret for me. Because a secret I don't know about, I don't care about. But a secret that when I figure, if I can get a sense of that something is wrong, like I can feel there's friction here, or there are some like hostilities, or you seem to act in a strange way, or things like that, that triggers my sense, my spider senses start tingling. And when I deal with people in a professional environment, I expect you to be on your best behavior at all times. Single mistake you make, like doesn't matter what it is. If I even get the hint of that you have an issue with me and you act in an unprofessional manner, I will report you immediately. That's not because I necessarily got offended. It's not necessarily because I can't deal with people not liking me and so forth and so forth. But this is my place of work, and I'm going to be disagreeable at times, and so are you. The thing that I expect though is that we treat each other with respect. We don't have to like each other, but we need to be able to work together. And for me to be able to work efficiently with another person, I have to feel comfortable having a discussion with them without feeling like I'm being, you know, insulted, or in some way they are trying to, like, if they can't keep their own emotions and behavior in check, I don't care. Like that is an expectation on them, because it's a rule of the workplace. So if my manager behaves in this way, I'll report them immediately to their manager, like immediately. Like it's the same thing with my coworkers. If you don't like my code or something like that, you are very welcome to tell me. We can always have a discussion and so forth. But I expect you, regardless of how angry you are, I don't care like how right you are or how horrible I am. You treat me with respect at all times, and I will give you exactly the same courtesy. And I make that so clear to people, not by just talking to them, but I do the thing that I'm very sorry to say that I've been exposed to myself, and that is that if you say anything that I don't like, I will just go to my manager immediately and say, "Hey, here is, and this is hilarious. This is proof that they are behaving in a poor way." And if you, the reason why I do this, it's not because I'm sensitive, guys. It is for the same reason I tell my friends who are parents, and like when even in old relationships that I've been in when I've had kids as a stepdad, instead of waiting for things to get hostile for real, like with the kids, like when they do something they're not supposed to be doing, I have a two-strike system basically. If I tell you once, that's okay, like don't do that anymore because it's important. If you ignore me and I tell you twice, then I make sure that this is the last time I'm going to tell you. If you continue, then you go into a timeout immediately. I don't negotiate with the kids and so forth. I don't negotiate with them. I don't do any of these things. I treat them with love, respect, everything that they are more as much as I can give. Like they are due as much as I can possibly give them, and I will give them all of that. But I will not tolerate disrespect or like rude behavior when I've made myself clear about what my standpoint is. It's the same thing here. I do exactly the same thing for when I send a request to someone when I need them to do something or help them or so forth. 2-strike system immediately. If you don't reply or if you forget or stuff like that, once or twice, absolutely. More than that, you're being reported immediately for negligence. Like, unless you have, as I said, I mean, if you have like really good reasons, I mean, you were on vacation, stuff like that, that's fine. As long as it's benign, I'm all good. If it's down to that you're lazy or you're hostile, you're like any of these sorts of things that you can control, and I don't really care if you have a hard time controlling your emotions and so forth. I expect you to behave this way. Then I will just go for it immediately. And the reason being for the same reason with with the kids. I don't want to have an argument with the kids. I don't want them to me to get to a point where I get angry, and the only way I get them to listen to me is by yelling at them. I believe that if there is a trend of something that is going in a bad direction, I prefer to deal with it before it gets emotional. So if my manager were to be rude with me or things like that, as I said, like I don't care if he or she can tell it to like the whole, like I don't care how many people. Like, it's actually better, because if they're rude in front of a lot of people, it's going to be hard for them to claim otherwise when I report them to their manager. And if it is possible, of course, I talk to them first and things like that. Like, you try to resolve it as best as you can. But if you see that this is a behavior that is not going away very, very quickly, at least I prefer to just deal with it in the most professional way I can. And if their manager ignores me or things like that, basically I make the assessments that I've told you before. Like, I make a cost value analysis. Is this such a big problem for me that I don't like working here anymore? Or are there other things that are weighing up, and then either I quit or I continue and I just treat like I establish rules of engagement with this person, which is basically communicate as little as possible. When we communicate, it is very, very, very important to me that it's in a public forum. I usually what I do is that I will only talk to you in private if I trust you. If I don't trust you, or if I have a reason for feeling like there might be issues from our conversation in the future, or like you might interpret things in a certain way or so forth, I always do it in a public forum because of this exact reason. Because if I have in a professional environment, guys, the law and your government usually requires you to prove, like they have to prove that you have done something bad. Your managers don't need that. In a private corporation, it's literally who says what and who believes who. In other words, the best way you can deal with these sorts of situations is to make it really damn public what's going on. Because if you can master yourself to the point where you can behave respectfully and professional under all circumstances, ideally in a public forum, if your manager is sending out really bad emails and so forth, they're digging their own grave. Because this is proof, like concrete proof. It's not word against word anymore. This is what this person is doing and how they're behaving. So you can basically hold this up and say, my manager, this person is misbehaving. I want the company to deal with this. So what I want you to take away from this is that what I usually do if my managers are rude in emails or whatever, like the best thing is if they are doing it in emails or chats or stuff like that, because that can't be they can't unprove it. Sadly, that doesn't always help, because in some companies, as I said, like they really don't want to deal with certain situations and so forth. But then there are unions and there are all kinds of stuff, like if you can take it that far. And what I usually do is, as I have a 2-strike system, it's very simple. When I'm in a professional environment, if I have a good relationship with you, we can joke around, we can have fun and so forth. But overall, regardless of if you like me or like if we like each other or not, I expect one thing from you, and that is absolute professional behavior at all times. No exceptions. And that's the same criteria I put on every human that I interact with. If you are just interested in having a very shallow, somewhat, normal relationship with me, that's fine. We don't have to be besties. And we can just be courteous and do as minimum communication as you want if you don't like me, or vice versa and so forth. But we treat each other with absolute respect at all times, and we don't do this like passive aggressive things, or like you do, create hostile intention and things like that, just because we have problems with our emotions and stuff like that. That's something we deal with, and that's something that I am very, very serious about. And as I said, I don't wait until things escalate. I immediately pull it up as soon as I even get like a hint of it, because as I said, if I wait too long, things get infected and they might get even worse. Like, because the way that you usually get to be a really enemy with someone is when you let things foster and like they really, when you let it go too far. That's my experience at the very least. And I argue the same thing for when it comes with anybody you have a relationship with. It's better to address things as early as possible, in my opinion, while you're still able to control your emotions and talk about it and like be, act in good faith, if you will, before you start resenting each other, because then you have all kinds of negative emotions that cloud your judgment and makes it harder for you to resolve the situation. Have a great day.